Welcome back to the craft room and welcome to the first video of 2025. For today's video, it's something slightly different. I have, over the break, been making a creature from this book. And if you've ever seen this book, it's well worth getting. There is so many variations and beautiful things that you can make. I will put a link in the description where you could get your own copy of the book. I was lucky my newsagent had this one. And the one I've been making is the Kraken. And here he is. He is huge. Luckily, I already had eyes that were big enough. Now, he is not finished, and that's the point of this video. The pattern is in the book, and they do give you some photo references, and you can go online and see what other people have done. But I thought I'll show you how I do it. He doesn't have his head fins on yet, because there's a reason for that, and he also needs the inside to be soft sculpted so the bottom looks right. Yes, I did change colour for every single sucker. But I'm really happy with how it's turned out. It's so big. It doesn't give you a size gauge in the book, but you can guess by the size of the eyes. These are 3 centimetre diameter eyes. So for us here in Australia, about the size of a 20-cent piece. I'm not really sure on currency in other countries. I couldn't tell you. About the size of the first joint of my thumb. Yes, without long fingernails. Anywho, I made him from a mill end of what looked to me like mandala ombre in the greens and the blues. So in a mill end, you have 400 grams of yarn, and I do have leftovers because what I was doing is I was colour selecting. So if you notice, he's dark, light, and then green on the top. And then for every top tentacle, it's got a dark line down the middle and then light towards the edge. And then underneath is I kept all the dark bits that were left, and the suckers were done with all the white bits that were left so that they would stand out more. I also did his 2 really long ones in the darker colour because it's supposed to be coming from underneath him. He is so big. So what I have to do, I have to put the fins on. I have to put his mohawk spike on and do the soft sculpting, and then I'm going to decorate him because I wanted him to be like encrusted. If you've seen Moana, there is a crab under the ocean. I want that kind of feel, but in blues and greens. And I've got a selection of pearls and gems, and I've even got some alcohol markers because I read online that alcohol markers would work. But I've also done a little sample piece of the same stuff just to test it on first, just in case, and to see how they work. So that's what we'll be doing for this video. But I wanted to show you him first before we start, so you know what we're working with. And then at the end, or even on the title card, not sure what the title card is going to be yet. In the end, I will definitely put some pictures up of him. I'll try and take some photos of him down at the beach, so he's, you know, surveying his kingdom and stuff like that. So let's get on to doing that. All right, so I've got all my bits in front of me. First thing I'm going to show you, these are the side head fins. There's 2 of those. They go sort of like as his ears, and then we've got this piece here which goes over the top as his crest. That's the word, remember the word. And then we also have these weird little pieces which are our eyebrows. They look weird, don't they? There's 2 of those in here, but they are not yet. I've got to do some other things first. We've got to do the soft sculpting to the bottom first. Now, what did I mean by that? Well, if you look here, on the bottom of him, is this bit here has to be pushed in so that it looks like a proper octopus type thing. Now, as we were making it up, or it said to leave this string attached here so that you could do that. But the problem being that they don't tell you how to do that. So I'm going to do what I think. Actually, is that one there? Yes, it is. Oh, don't need that. Put that away. You use a wool needle, which is a blunt big eye needle. We'll untie this. I got a feeling I don't need quite this much yarn, but because we haven't made it before, we do what the pattern says. This is far too much yarn. Far too much. And the other thing I wanted to do for my dude, I'm not even sure if it's a boy or girl. Put in the comments whether you think it's a boy or a girl. I'm not really sure. Hard to tell with cephalopods. So put this on here. Alright, so that's threaded up, ready to go. Quite a bit on it. The other thing I want to do, and I'm going to do it at this point, and this is why I haven't put the eyes on, is, I don't know if you've seen pictures of octopuses, and he is a relative, the octopus, is that they have the head bent over like this, and then the eyes are set in. So there's like a bit of a nose here. So I was hoping when I do the underneath that I can push it up here and bring these in with that soft sculpting, and then that pulling in here at the back of the eyes will give me the anchor point for the underneath. That's the plan. Whether it works or not is another story. So we need to get all these different bits and pieces. We need to get this to the center, and how we do that is we threaded up our needle, and I don't want to go through the suckers because this is a different colored yarn, so we're going alongside them. We're weaving in and out. Make sure you pull all the yarn through. You don't want a random piece of yarn coming out somewhere. Now I'm going to do a back stitch because I don't want this pulling from here, and it will. Hang on, before we do that, make sure that sucker's right out. So it's a little, my thread's there, so I'm going behind it, and I'm weaving in and out to about there. Pull that through, untangle it from the millions of legs. There's only 8 unless you count the ones with the long ones, and then there's 10. Alright, another back stitch just to stop it from tightening up, and we're right at the sphincter. Right where we started the whole shebang. Just for your information, this is made in 2 pieces, the top and the bottom, so you have to get your stitch counts correct. Right, so that is right in the center, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually really going to go in the center. I'm going to do a surface knot here so that I know I'm in the center, and I'm also securing the magic circle that started everything. Right, so that's got a knot. Now I have to poke this in and come out above the eye, which is right there. Hopefully you can see that. Pull all our millions and millions of miles of thread in. Now we want to pull this up quite a bit. Make sure it's pulled up. That's pretty good. Now I've got that on tension with my hand. Make sure we're not all tangled up. Next thing we want to do is we want to pinch this behind the eyes, because we want the eyes to sit back, and we also need it skinny enough that I can thread the needle through. Alright, so that's sort of working. I'm going to do more than one stitch, so I'm going to go back a few stitches to about there. This is going down, and then we can come outside. This will also make sewing the eyelids on a little bit easier because it gives us a flatter area to sew them onto. If you've seen an octopus, they have like a little flap and a hole there. I'm not sure if that's their ears, but I know they have it. Now I want to bring these in a little bit, so I'm going to do one more of these. I've loosened off me holding it now because we don't want them touching, we just want them in a bit. All right, that's good. So when he sits like that, which you can't see, get that out of the way, it's making noise. I sit and turn him like this. You see how that's come in behind? That's what we want. And on the same side, you want it the same. Now, check our underneath. Hasn't really come up as much as I wanted it to. There's no stuffing under here. There is stuffing in the legs, but not under here. So what I might do, I want this to come in a little bit here. So I'm going to go back in and come out underneath again. You can't see. I'm going to come out in the sphincter hole again. Got to use the right words, even if they sound wrong. Making sure we don't wrap around anything. Alright, so that's that bit. We do want a bit of space there. So what I'm going to do now, get them right out the way, is I'm going to pull up like maybe there. So I'll wiggle across, in, out to get me to there. That's just going through the bottom part. And then I'm going to take a stitch and I'm going to come out alongside the eye at the end of my fingernail there. And then I just like I said, I just want these in a little bit at the bottom so it's more straight where they're sitting. So we go across like this. Oh, here comes some stuffing. Fix that in a minute. You get closed end of scissors and push stuffing back in. Just wiggle it in, it'll go. There you go, it's back. Easy fix. Now I want to do 2 stitches here because I want to go back in on this side, so we need to do enough that it'll stay. That's better. It's given him a bit of a nose and it's flattened down where the eyes are attached, which is what we wanted. Wiggle that through. Here comes some more stuffing. Must be some loose stuffing over there, which is good because it means this thread has gone through the stuffing and secured it to the nose area. So that's a win. Alright, that's wiggled back in. Make sure they're closed. And now we come back out. We started there, so we want to come back out over here. So push your needle in, not the same hole. Always go over and out underneath. And I didn't catch any legs, amazing. And then we will do a surface knot here. And another one for good luck. If you don't know what a surface knot is, I am picking up a stitch and then going back through the loop that's resting on my work. And then the thread tangles up. That's the end of it. Deciding it likes to tangle. Come on. That's what it's doing. It's that little loop. Let's pull you up. Then you can't do it. Alright. Now I'm just going to poke my end back in and cut it off. There we go. Away from where I was working. Done. And that is the bottom soft sculpture. Now you can do more than that. That is what I wanted to have done. So he's now got, his eyes are fairly flat and he's got a little bit of a nose. He could have a bit more of a nose, but a bit more of a nose, but I wanted this gap here still, so it's got a bit of a bridge. So I'm happy with that. And I now have some of this left, which will help me sew the eyelids on. But what I might do first is I might pin on his fins, I think. So these are his fins, and they don't have a right side or a wrong side because they're made turning it over and turning it over, and you're always working in the back loop, so they don't have a right and wrong side. Now we have options where we put that, so I might just make his back end a little bit more symmetrical. And we also have his head fin, which is also pretty symmetrical, and that goes over the top. So what I might do is I find the middle. That might be the easiest. Find the middle, which is there. So I'm going to pin that there. That way we've got an even amount. This is the very top of his head, and then we bring this down to, I don't want to stretch it, like that, and another one like that. You want to make sure that it's symmetrical and don't want to stretch it too much. And a pin on the other side just to keep it in the right place, and another one there. So that's the head fin in place. Now I just have a quick look in here. There's a picture of him. Come back, come back, come back. Alright, so I'll just show you under here. You see here, these are the head fin. That's a big head fin. My head fin don't look like, oh, I see. They've pinched up. Yes, they have. Alright, we can do that. We can do that. We got to sew it on first though. So actually it was a good idea to do this first. So we take them out the way. And we find our needle, wherever that, there it is, over here. So to sew this on, there's two steps. First step is sewing on the actual fin, and the second step is to making the head crease, which I missed. I missed seeing that when I was doing it. Now we want this one to stay upright. If I bring him this way, put all the millions of legs going the other way without the thread tangled up in them. We need to sew this on, and we need it to be in the middle. So we were told to leave a really long string, which I have. Let's just attach it to the bottom before it goes anywhere. Just another surface knot that wants to make knots. Right, so now we can take that first pin out. So all I'm going to do for mine, keep these pins where they are so we know it's in the middle. Double check it's in the middle. Yeah, I think so. Is I am going to go pick up a bit through the fin and then pick up a little bit on the other side, just like that. And I'm not going to show you me doing the whole thing because that would be incredibly boring. Pick up a little bit, go through the fin, pick up a little bit on the other side. Yep, that's good. Now pick up a little bit. You want this fairly strong, so don't do too big a stitches. One more. Pick up a little bit, so like one strand's worth, and then a little bit on the other side. And just work your way all the way around. Make sure the top is right in the middle and it's not tight. You want it standing up. If it's tight, it flattens out. So if it's flattening out, you've got it too tight, so you need to bring it back a little bit. And I will be back when I have done that, and we'll do the next part. Alright, so let me get back on my chair. I have sewn on the dorsal fin here, but I have also, I missed this step, I apologize, I should have said earlier, I forgot to do the ridge underneath the fin. So I've pinned here, show you on this side, see the pins? And I've just got to do the last pin, so I thought I'd show you how you do that. You just pinch it together more than you need. Now you're going to make sure you're in line with his eyes, and get yourself one of your pins through the back, through the front, and not through yourself, like so. And I'm going to come down just a little bit more for my dude, so that the beginning of the fin is not the beginning of the ridge. I'm going to have a little bit more so it's closer to the edge. So we'll just go in and out. Make sure you've got a bit of meat on the end so that you can get in and out. So try and make sure it's straight and his head is fairly symmetrical. I mean, he's an animal, so it's not going to be dead on. And then we also sew this one up. So I'm going to have to, this is what I have left of the thread from the fin. So, and we have a wonky bit here. We want that like that, but that's because I've woven it in and out. So I'm just going to get myself right to the end. Put the pin in, wiggle, wiggle, all the way down to the end. And it's quite a simple stitch. Now this looks wonky. It won't be. It's the pins making it wonky. Got a raw bit on my nail. So I'm going to turn him this way. So I am working that way, and the pointy parts of the pins are on the other side. Move in a bit closer so I can see what I'm doing. And you're just going in and out. So where the bottom, where it comes through is where the bottom of the ridge will be. Make sure you don't catch it on the point of the pin. Nope. So make sure you're flat, in and out. You can do the maximum of, I think, 3 stitches before it won't pull through anymore. So let's try for 3. In and out and in again. Yep, but it's starting to catch. Make sure that end's not in there. Right, so now we can take out the first pin and put that away. And that's the beginning. Ow, there's the end of my pin. That's the beginning of his dorsal ridge, if you can see it here. So I'm going to sew that bit up and I will be back. Alright, so here he is with his head fin on, all secured. There is the dorsal ridge. You can make this thicker. I'm happy with where mine is, and I finished it here, so this tail is off to nothing. So I had a bit more at this end and I stopped it back there. So that's that part done. I've also tied these around the back because they were getting annoying. The next thing we want to do is you can either put on his ears or his eyes. And I'm going to do his eyes so that I'm not fighting with the ears trying to do something small. So we'll go on this side first and take advantage of the shape of the eye and pin it in place. That's the join there. Now, depending on how wide you want his eyes to be open is how far apart you put these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the ends together, and we're going to have them on a bit of an angle to begin with. Now I think this should move down a bit. So you've got to play with it a bit to be happy where they are. Let's put a couple of pins in here so that stays where my fingers are holding it. Now, I'm not happy with how it's covering the bottom of the eye, so I'm going to bring that down and bring that out here. Now, I don't mind that. I would probably put this a little bit further forward. Just a little bit. Now that I like. But now I've got to make the other side match. So we'll do that now. And then we'll sew it on. That way we can still adjust it. We've got long strings on this one. So these are actually a bit pinched together on the other one. So we'll have to go like that. That was me running out of string, so I tied the end to the front. So have him straight in front of you so we can get that one approximately where we want it. And then we cross them over at the back. Now, how high up was that? It's on that line. So a bit of fiddling around. Just poke that in. Now, we can see the other one, so let's bring this one up to there, and then this one to there, and now the bottom bit so we can see his eye. So we got one at the back, and then one pulling down the front slightly. So how does that look? Do they look the same? That's going to pull to the back. I'm quite happy with those. That one's possibly a little bit high. Coming down a little bit. Yeah. So with these, you're just going to whip stitch around the edges. Take your time, go slowly, because you want this to come in here. You don't want to skip over it, because you want it to be able to see the eye that you've put in there. You're not sewing the inside, you are just sewing the outside. Make sure you get the point of the eye here, and we will use our needle, same needle, and of course you've been told to leave quite long threads to sew it up. This one I ran out, but luckily I have some left over here to use for that. And yeah, it's just a whip stitch. So let me just thread this up. All of it, not part of it. Let's try that again. Alright, now it's threaded up. Okay, so what I'm going to do, position him so it's comfortable for you. Everything's out of the way. Lay it as flat as possible. And this is, hopefully you can see this. Is take a bit from the body and then come up where your pin is. Of course it will want to make knots, of course it will. Wants to make knots. Why are you doing this to me? There we go. Now we're right. We got it through. Ignore this one. This is the other long piece. We'll put that in later. So a little bit from the body. Just a little bit when I can get just a little bit. And then through the bottom edge of the eyelid. And pull it up. And now we can take that one out. So you want to see, you don't want to see the whole eye. You want to see most of the top and about a third of the bottom. And you just work your way around. If you've got one of those needles that has a bend in it. And let me just pull this through. This is annoying. Get that out of the way. That's now coming through. Go away. Go away and go away. What I was saying. Let me find that needle for you. Alright. If you have one of these needles that has a bend in the end, they will help a lot. And I might actually, no, it's not one. Oh, let's use the purple one that's in my hand. Take that needle off, even though it took us a while to thread it. Thread up this one. Because it has the bend in it, it makes it a bit easier to pick up the stitch. Wiggle it through, much easier. Don't take that out. And you just work your way around the edges of the eyelids. You got to do them both. So do one and then check it against the other and see if you have to adjust pins. And that's all you do to sew the eyelids on. Luckily I remembered to make my eyelids the same colour as this part of the octopus, because now they're sewing down, you can't see them. Yay, working. Take your pins out as you go. You don't need any more hassles. Always make sure you've got a bit of the body and a bit of the lid. And work your way around. So we've sewed the eyes on, and I'm quite happy with how they've turned out. Right there. I also, with the last bit of the string that was left, yarn, I just pulled in the eye sockets a little bit. And now the last thing to put on, sew on, is the ear flaps. Now this one's been pinned approximately where it is in the book. And I'm going to do the other one. Try to match them, even though they've tied themselves in knots again. So, what have we got? That looks... okay, that way. They look more similar that way. So this one is on that row there. No, I think I have to go this way. Trying to match up the rows about there, I think, and then this one is down here about there. This is probably going to be totally wrong because I'm trying to match what's there. Yeah, no, that looks so wrong. Very hard to get the legs out the way might help. Now, to me, that looks wrong. So, what are we happy with? I reckon pull this back further. I think we want them more like ears, I reckon. So, they cut more. But then they're going to hit his legs. I think they need to be higher. I think they need to be higher. And then that could come a little bit more forward. That looks better. How does that look? It's better. Oh, I like it coming into the blue up there, so I might bring that one a little bit higher. You've got to fiddle a bit because I've done my eyes a little bit more, the angle, I put them where they said, but I don't know, maybe I didn't put enough stuffing in or something. They're not looking exactly like the picture, but that's not terrible because this is a mythical monster, so there's no hard and fast rules. Let's pull that back a little. Now I'm starting to like it. So that's his ears there. I want to cut them. So I will be sewing them in a slight curve. Now look from the top. Yes, they're even. They're even at the back. You always got to check from other angles because they might look good where you're looking at them, but then they look terrible from behind or from the side. So that's where I think I'm going to be putting his ears, or his ear fins at least. We need the needle again, and we'll keep using this bent needle because it's working really good. And we just got to sew them on, and we sew them on the same way as we sewed this fin on, so a little bit from one side, a little bit from the other side. I am going to be putting a curve in it, so I've got to make sure I get the curve and then come back, so we're getting an ear shape. So I will do that and I'll be back. After that we are going to do the alcohol markers. Actually, I might show you them quickly. Let me just put that on there. So the ones I got to use, I've got two different kinds. I've got this one here, and I've got these ones here. Now, I don't have much hope for these ones because these were cheap ones from Kmart. These ones from an actual craft store. So the best markers when I did my research for this were Coptic markers, but they're not available here, and this is the first time I've used them on creation. So I wanted to trial it first. So we have this little bit that I've done with the same material. This is just a bag blank. I will be adding a bit more to it to make a proper bag, but it's enough to test on it. So what I'll do, I will sew the ear fins on first, and then we'll just do our little test, and I'll give you an idea what I'm going to do with the markers, and we'll go from there. So let me just sew these ears on. All right, move all my stuff out of the way. So he is all done with his ear fins on, and they stand out like I wanted them to, so that's really cool. Now, because you only get one fin pattern, these will curl forward on one side, but I will be decorating that so it might stiffen up. So I'll give you a better look at his face and fins. I'm really happy with how that turned out, and just exactly how I wanted it, and I think he's got real personality. Yes. So glad I saved that green to put on his eyelids. So that's him. That's all the pieces done now of him. Nothing else to sew on. I do have to sew that little bit in there, but that's about all. So the next thing to do is to show you the alcohol markers. Now I am also going to be putting on some pearls. I got this pack where there's different size pearls. A friend of mine also gave me this collection of lovely small pearls and coloured beads, and there's some little seashell beads and all sorts in there, so we'll use some of those as well. I better put the lid on that before it goes all over the table. And the other thing I got to use to decorate with is these. Now these are flat back gems in lots of different sizes, which makes them really good for gluing on. So I've got tiny ones and, you know, 3 sizes. So I'm mainly going to be sticking to the greens and the purples. I'm not really going to use pink or these ones. So they'll just be glued on. So I don't think you need to show you them being glued on, because it's gluing on is gluing on. So the next thing is the alcohol markers. Now, like I said before, I don't have much hope for these, but we will give them a shot. So the first thing with any drawing on something that is not white is you want your first drawing to be with a colour that matches the background as much as you can, so that you can do your marking out. Now the closest one this one has is that green, which is not the greatest And you can smell them. Definitely smell like alcohol. Not alcohol for drinking though. Let's take the top off there. Actually, that one might be better. Let's put you back. I don't like you very much anyway. This one's a lighter green. So these are jewel tips. So they've got a thick and a thin edge. I'm going to start with a thin edge. So, for example, if I was going to draw a fish, first thing I would do is I would draw the line of the fish. Now I'm thinking one fish on top of the other. So that's the line of my fish. And then our fish has a tail. Alright. This is very rough. Like so. And then he's going to be quite thin here. And then he's going to go a bit bigger there. Give him a rounded head. So that's how they both look basically like normal textures. So that's the general shape of our fish. He probably has a fin there of some kind and another fin there. And then you come in with your other colours. So let's just put those ones aside. So I'm going to stick with the greens. So let's take all the greens out. Is that all the greens? No, there's a yellow green too, and an olive green. I don't know if I want olive green. Give us a yellow, I suppose. Alright, so they're the only colours I'm going to use. And I might nick the two blues. So I have all my ones that I'm going to use in front of me. And we've got our basic drawing. And like I said, do your first one in the colour that is closest to your background. That way you can work it out. Now, what am I going to do? What I might do is I'll use the lightest blue just to give a bit of shadowing. Just so he stands out a little bit. Because you're supposed to be on the ocean floor. So we'll just give him a little bit of shadowing. Don't make it too exact. Just a little bit at the back of the fins. And then, oops, I didn't want to go on. There we go. What else have we got? We've got a yellow. I don't know if the yellow is going to show up. Yeah. You get like a zebra type pattern. And then you just build it up from there. And the reason why I'm using alcohol markers is that you need alcohol to get rid of them. So washing them will be fine. That's why they're good for using on bags, because you don't wash in alcohol. I think it's isopropyl alcohol that you need to use to get rid of them. Now, I don't think that was the green we had. So let's give some eyes. And you just work your way around adding more and more detail. So like now that I've done that, this is the bigger marker. I don't want the bigger marker, I want the little marker. Putting a bit more shadowing, bringing it out. And you can come back with colours. You don't have to only use them at the beginning. So we need to make the other fin a bit more defined. We can add some lines into the fins. And feel free to not like what I'm doing. This is just me doing a little explanation piece on how I'm going to do it. So now I'll come back with this one. Add a little bit more depth. Bring out the brighter blue. So we want to make that a definite line. So you can gradually start seeing my fish. Now he's got quite dark eyes. No, not wrong end. This end. I'm going to leave a little bit white. That can be the shine. And I'll put a bit of darkness here. It can be his gills. More lines into the tail and into the fins. We could actually add a bit more here and whistle it over like he's got a central fin. And you just keep going from there. So that's basically all I was going to do here. Gradually build it up. Basically you want to work from dark to light. So I have no idea what kind of fish this is. It's got a lot of green in it. So I need another one there. So now this dark green is putting the roundness on the body, defining the edges. Some into the tail, like so. Need a little bit under the edge of the beginning and a little bit at the back edge of the eyes. Under there, that fin to have more definition. What we got left? Just about used all of them, haven't we? More definition on here. Actually, I want to get the darkest blue. Make this quite a bit darker where the edge of the fish is. Can you hear the noise? Oh, that's looking better. Give him a bit of darkness. I'm going to make the lines a bit blurrier because it's got to look like he's on the ocean floor. What you're trying to do is get rid of the definite edge, the white. Now I'll come back with the other blue. Get out a little bit more. So I don't think I need to show you any more. And as I said, this doesn't need a fixative. At least that's what they said on the net. First time using it for this kind of thing. And I was going to show you the underneath. Right, that's basically my fish, but if you look underneath, none of it has come through. None at all. And there's my fishy. So that's all I'm going to record for now. I will come back right at the end to show you what this dude looks like with all his colours on and his beads on. Well, after a couple of days, he is all finished, and I'd like to show you Kevin the Kraken. You can't really see him down there, so I'll pick him up and bring him closer. I am so happy with how he turned out. I'll bring him up so you can see his face. And he's underneath with all the colour changes. I had some broken jewellery and some beads that were just hanging around, and a friend gave me some. I tried to give him like a Asian Indian style of look, almost a crown, but not quite. Few pearls and shells and stuff in it. I think it turned out rather good. We'll put a little video at the end of him outside so you can see what he looks like. And that's the end of the video. I hope you like this. It's something a little bit different to what we normally do. And please like, share and subscribe. Liking lets other people see it. Sharing it lets other people see what we did too. And I will see you on the next one.